Hey, everybody, it's Monday Surfer Planning. That's what today is all about. So I want you to get out your workbook. We're going to talk a little bit about why Mondays are the most important to kick off your week correctly. Like most of you, I think we roll out of bed on Monday mornings and kind of shake the cobwebs out from a weekend, or you kind of dread heading into the office because of the amount of things that you have to do. That's why it's so critical to take time out of your work week to plan the priorities for how you're going to accomplish some donor meetings going forward. And really, what's the most important thing that you have to get done? And Mondays are a great way to do this, is because you can then focus out, set some goals, accomplish some things out of the gate. And we do it through 5 different ways. We're going to work through each one in really big detail. Okay, we're not going to have a PowerPoint slide presentation for any of these. You're just going to kind of listen and work along. But let's frame out why the things that you're going to do on a Monday, okay, or at least the things that we want to accomplish. One is, what do you just need to get done? What's the most important 2 things that you need to get done by the end of the week? Who do you need to meet with? What do you need to ask for? What needs to be accomplished by Friday before you take off, or Thursday before you take? What do you need to get done? Plan for it on a Monday. Okay. It's just so absolutely critical that you get a lot of this stuff out of the way. And we're going to talk through 5 ways that you can kind of do this every single week, and then repeat it every Monday. You just expect to do the same thing. Carve out time, when your brain's right? Is it just between those first 6 cups of coffee? I know I am. Is it before anybody wakes up in the morning? Are you just kind of going through your routine to start off the week? Wherever you find it most comfortable, carve out your first 20 minutes or 40 minutes and make sure that you're planning for the week. And we're going to do this in 5 different ways. 1, stand-up meetings. Okay. Number 2, it's confirming donor meetings for the week. Number 3, it's going to be material prep for your week, special events, logistics, and then preparing for all hell to break loose. So stand-up meetings are really important. One of the things that I found in the nonprofit world is there are people within your organization, whether they're volunteers or staff members alone, that are going to look at you as a fundraiser and go, why do they get to go out for coffee all the time? What are they doing that makes them so special, et cetera, et cetera. To have a stand-up meeting to prevent A, that from happening, and B, to have everybody laser focused on where you are and what you're trying to accomplish and be overly communicative in a nonprofit office is so unbelievably critical. And if you're not having a stand-up meeting already, you should. You need to. And really, it's to establish what the goals are for the week with the entire team, to answer any questions so they know exactly what you're doing. They don't have to ask a million times, a million questions, but they know. And you can establish like what help you need with to make sure that the goals that you've set forth for the week are accomplished. Okay. And you do that with a 5 to 10 minute stand-up meeting. We'll talk a little bit more in detail. The number 1 is confirming donor meetings. People, I don't know about you, but the best feeling in the entire world is having a meeting cancel on me. I'm like, oh man, that was really, really good. I didn't really want to have that meeting. That's what donors are thinking about your visits occasionally too. You want to make sure that you hold on to those dearly. So confirming with your donors on, hey, we still on for Wednesday? We still on for Friday? We still on for later today? Just want to make sure that we're ready to rock. Anything I can get for you, we'll bring to you. Okay, it's really important to do that. We'll talk a little bit about helpful hints and tips and tricks on how to do that. And then planning on material builds. What meetings do you have later in the week? What board meetings? What group coaching? What sort of groups you get to talk to at the end of the week? What materials do you need to build? Do you have to build your PowerPoint presentation? Do you have to gather a whole bunch of brochures and documents? How about solicitation materials? Have them all neat to put aside, and all of a sudden you can just grab and go, rather than frantically sort of making sure they look, oh, I need all of these things, then forget it. And then you're worried about forgetting things rather than being in the moment, meeting with your donors and your supporters. Doing special events logistics is a really good one on Mondays. Most vendors, whether virtual or in person, are going to take a few days to get back to you. So make sure that you're just aligned. Like, I need to figure this out by the end of the week. These are the 3 answers I need from my AV company, or I need this from a trinkets and trash company to get these things ready for a walk or something. Make sure that you're starting that process on a Monday, because you know It's going to take a little bit of time to get back to people and make sure that you're keeping on task as well. And finally, prep for all hell to break loose, to be honest. You know this as well as I do, that every day there is something that's going to blow up, and then your best laid plans are going to be wasted. But if you plan early enough and you plan all of your materials, all of your meetings, all of your priorities, you can go with the flow a lot easier rather than just scrambling to get by. That makes sense? So Mondays are for planning. So let's go over each one of these things in order. Let's talk about stand-up meetings, okay? Stand-up meetings should not be hour-long things that you need to do. Shouldn't be the case at all. This should be a 5 or a 10-minute meeting that you have really early on in the week, preferably a Monday. And then we're gonna go through an agenda here for you as well. So if you're taking notes, let's go through here. Who should be looped in? Do you have a boss? Do you have a board of directors? Who are you directed to? Who are you reporting to? Let's loop them in. At least they're a part of it. Any support staff that you have should be looped in on this stand-up meeting. And again, this is just to let everybody know what the hell you're doing for the week, right? What time's best for everyone? I would imagine everybody's going to want to log in, get settled, maybe answer a couple of emails. So probably right away isn't the best because you're probably thinking about other stuff, but just earlier the better so you can get everything out of the way, et cetera. And then when and then where are you having this meeting? Is it in the office? Is it on virtual? Is it just a quick catch up with a phone call? Consistency is going to be key so they know when they gather around the table, this is what you're going to talk about. Everybody gets a minute and a half. They talk about what they want to do. Let's go through this agenda a little bit too. Any important meetings that you're going to have, who you're meeting with, why are you discussing things with them, right? There should be no open, like there shouldn't be secrets within a fundraising office, right? You're just trying to get the best intel. You're trying to do the best work for the organization itself. All hands on deck for most important meetings. And this is going to kind of help set that. Setting goals for the week. I want to meet with 5 people. I've got 4 on the books. I'm hoping to meet with 2 more. Expected travel, where are you going to be? At what point in time are you going to be working from a coffee shop? So you don't have, again, those counters going, you know, Patrick never shows up in the office on Tuesdays. And that's not fair. I've got to be at the office on Tuesday. Patrick's out meeting with, high capacity donors. And that's where he is right now at a coffee shop. He's burning through meetings with people who own businesses who have the capacity to give us stuff. That's his role. And we've already established that every Monday. So you already know that. If you have any questions, he's there to ask every Monday. And that's what we do, right? And then spend some time for questions, because I think people are going to have to ask and get used to the fact that you kind of just do this on a regular basis, et cetera. So take some time this week and really write down some of the goals, right? How was your first meeting, right? What were some feedback that you asked for? How was the reaction of having everybody in the room? And really, what sort of improvement could you do for next week's meeting? And I think that's really an important thing to establish out of the gate on a Monday. Material prep. Listen, we already talked about this at the top of here, but like if you have a lot of stuff ready to go, grab and go for your desk, and you know exactly what meetings you're having and what they're probably expecting, good on you. So this is a really good time early on in the week just to establish piles of stuff and get it ready for your meetings so you're not scrambling. The key to planning on Mondays is that you don't have to scramble, or you don't have to scramble for the things you're already planning and prepping for. That's really key. So you can calmly and coolly and enthusiastically meet with some of those donors. And so let's talk a little bit about material prep. What sort of materials do you need to bring along to a donor meeting? Is this somebody you're meeting for the first time? You just want some info to leave behind? Great, now you know that. Is this a purposeful ask? Is this something that you are going to be ready to make a fiscal ask? Do you have a donor sheet? Do you have a commitment form? Do you have a list of options as a sponsorship kit? What are those things? Okay. Do you need talking points? Are you bringing along a board member to any materials that you're going to have? Maybe just have them to read along. Is there anything that you need supplemental pieces or an impact story to leave that they can read later? Maybe it's just you're getting to know them as a donor and you want to leave them a bunch of stuff so that they can read it at their leisure. So the next time you connect with them, that they're like, oh yeah, that was a really good story. How many opportunities are you giving your supporters to give. And what I mean by that is, do you have a list of options that you can pull out at any single time, so that when people you're meeting with are asking, well, how can I help? And you're already reading into the conversations that this person is really into galas, or this really person's into walks, or this person is into just giving straight up donations. You have options because you know who you're meeting with, and you've already prepped that material, so you don't have to scramble. Now, again, it's okay to say, I don't have the answers. That's totally fine. But it's really nice to be prepared, so you can always just have something at the ready. Okay. So part of your goals this week is, hey, what FAQs do you have? What facts do you have about your organization? If you don't, now's a good time to maybe plan and prep building those, because you always want to have those to give to your supporters or your volunteers or your biggest champions in the field. What do they need to know about upcoming impacts that you're having, or things that you've been successful at? Do you have a donation form? Get that in a pile, right? Do you have your updated newsletter or magazine that you've got sitting there? Get a pile of that. Any local news stories that you've been featured on, or things that you've been featured on in the newspaper or local magazines. That's a wonderful thing to bring. Just a really quick copy. It doesn't have to be fancy pants. It doesn't have to be full color. It doesn't have to be laminated. It does not have to be super sexy looking. Just have to have it available. So if people are interested, it's a good leave behind. And again, you're stacking things in your office so you can grab and go, knowing exactly what meetings that you already had as your stand-up meeting, letting everybody know where you're going. All right, let's talk about confirming your donor meetings, or confirming some of your sponsor or supporters for visits. How many calls does it take to confirm a meeting? How many calls does it take to even make a meeting or set meetings, right? So how many invites do you have out there? The old sales technique is, all right, look, you make 10 calls for one meeting, and for every 5 meetings, you get 1 close, whatever your ratio is, depending on your product. Know some of those numbers leaning into your donor meetings, your donor prep, so that you can at least have it in your head. I need to make 40 phone calls to get 2 gifts, or 40 phone calls to make 5 gifts, whatever that number is. And that's just going to set some benchmarks right out of the gate on what to expect. Now, it's really hard. It's harder to say no to a confirmed meeting if you're on the phone. It's really easy to ignore an email. How many emails have you ignored this week already? How many emails are in your inbox that you're just not going to get to? And then maybe if the time runs out, you don't have to do the thing that you said or they asked you to do. Don't you shake your head at me. I know I've got mine in there too. That's part of the luxury of having an email, and part of why email is so convenient. You don't have to do everything that you want. So let's think about that. Picking up the phone and calling them and saying, "Hey, Bob, are we still on for Tuesday? I just want to make sure that we've got the right place, etc." That sounds like a really good way of doing those things. And then how many additional calls do you need to make to set additional meetings too? So picking up the phone, that's totally great. Or are you sending out some emails to, hey, could you like this page? Could you like this post? Could you like some of those things? Confirm with your donors what on earth you're doing. It's going to be great. Let's some goals for the week that you want to write down is, hey, let's schedule 3 meetings with donors. And depending on how much you actually want to get done, or how many, what sense of urgency there is, there's a really good way just to benchmark how many you need to get done. Put it on a board, put it on some sort of calendar, and then just knock it out of the park. It's going to be great. And then what sort of exploratory meetings are you trying to set up, et cetera. So, but again, pick up the phone, email secondary, pick up the phone. And again, it's a really good touch point to confirm some of those meetings too. It's free. It doesn't cost you an ask. Right? You're just picking up the phone and you're saying, hey, I just wanted to touch base and see if we're meeting. Can't wait. You didn't ask them for anything. You're just touching base. Top of mind there for that phone call. Helpful hint for you. Special event logistics. Part of your planning on Mondays should be getting some of those things done. Again, we talked about it a little bit earlier, is that people who are in AV, they're super busy. They've got a ton of stuff that they need to do. They'll probably not get back to you right away. So just setting the table for some of the logistics that you need to make up for at the end of the week, or you need answers to, maybe even a week in advance. Monday's a really, really good time to do some of those things. So what special events do you have coming up? Let's list a couple of those out there. What logistics can you plan or tweak? Is there something that you know is going to go awry? I don't know. Is there a global pandemic around that you need to adjust or at least have a contingency plan on? now's a good day to do it, right? And then what meetings can you set up with your vendors, with your venue, your sponsors, your participants, your speakers, whatever you want to do? What sort of meetings can you plan on a Monday? And make sure that you're just giving yourself a long enough runway so that you can adjust accordingly to other people's schedules. Monday is a really, really, really good time to do that. So, and now's a good time to even schedule another event or plan a new meeting with some other current folks that you haven't planned with. Any logistics that you can get out of your way and off of your plate out of the gate is going to be super great, and that's going to help you with your planning. Of course, all this could get blown up at any given time. And that's why the most important thing that you can plan on a Monday is planning for all hell to break loose. The key to surviving all hell breaking loose is just planning what you have to get done. What is the most important thing that you have to get done? What is the be all end all of your workday? What is it? And I think that's where Mondays for planning is so important, is that you can actually jot down like, hey, by Friday, I need this done. This has to happen. Otherwise, nothing else can occur. Or what are the 2 or 3 things that you need to get done? Let's figure out what that is and then build everything around a support mechanism for you to accomplish that. At the end of the week, you're going to look back and go, wow, I didn't feel like I got anything done, but I got this, this, and this. And these were the 3 things that I needed notched off of my my belt of fundraising, if you will. And now I can go and relax on the weekend rather than worry about what I didn't get done. Planning is on Mondays because you want to make sure that you can kick it into high gear the very next week and know that you can rattle off a number of little wins that are going to lead to bigger wins. One of the frustrating things in the nonprofit world, I know this too, is that burnout is real. And I think having quick wins to your name is so unbelievably important. It's because you can build off of all these things. You can build off of a Monday for planning. You can build off of like, wow, I planned and I accomplished all of those things. Or I know exactly what I need to do throughout the week in order for that to come true. So carve out time. Make sure that your stand-up meetings are happening on a regular basis. Get everyone to buy into that so that they can let everybody know what else they have on their plate. So there's no surprises or as few surprises as possible. Get your material prepped. It's so easy to grab and go rather than just sort of scramble and maybe the printer's down or you run out of ink or you run out of paper right before you're trying to get out the door and now you're panic stricken and sweating. That doesn't sound like a great way to start a donor meeting, does it? No. So prep all of your stuff in advance. Confirming donor meetings is great. Pick up the phone. It's another touch point that you get with your donors or potential supporters is, hey, just checking in. Can't wait to see you on Thursday. Stoked about this, right? Hey, do some special events logistics. It's going to be a lot easier to lay the groundwork for some answers that you know are going to come down the line, even if you don't get them right away. At least you're prepped for that. And again, your priorities of getting your stuff done, the things you have to do, unbelievably critical, because you know all hell's going to break loose anyway. That's kind of the bit. So let's take some time and let's fill out that paperwork. Let's make sure that you've got all of the things that you have at the ready in order to make your planning on Mondays a go. And again, it's going to be a lot easier to have the things accomplished by the end of the week because Mondays are for planning.